Hey, how you doing? This is Ramiro Restrepo, and I'm here with Dominic Savitas today. Welcome to our first annual 2011 Breeders' Cup analysis and selection show. We'll be reviewing all 15 races on the program, from the juvenile sprint all the way through the big classic on Saturday. So let's start off with race 5 on Friday's program. It's the $500,000 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Sprint.
All right, well, this is a tough race. They all seem to be tough. I mean, there's a standout here from Bob Baffert, Secret Circle. Seems to, just go to the front. Just won both his races just with tons of daylight. I used him, and I like this horse Shumos from overseas. I like the breeding. I like the wet figure, and I like Gomez taking the call. I think, if I can get a price, I may play him, especially if he looks good on race day. And then there's Seeker from Nasmussen Barn with La Peru. They've been real hot lately, and that horse just seems like it's going to take well to the Churchill Dirt. What do you like in this race?
Well, I'm going to go with a little bit of a price. I believe some of the parts, the two horse owned by Klarovich and William Lawrence, they're pretty good with 2-year-olds. They've had a currency swap and clipped the coupons under their stable. The horse ran a nice race last time out after encountering some trouble at Monmouth in the sapling. I definitely believe he'll appreciate the pace in this race, and he loves Churchill Downs. He broke his maiden here and ran a nice race at the Bashford Manor, so definitely that's going to be my top pick. You have the Baffert's free course, the 6 Secret Circle, which you can't ignore, and watch out for the 7 Holden Bullets. Anytime Wesley Ward has a juvenile going short with Jeffrey Sanchez, at a price that might be in the mix, definitely a horse to use in the exotics.
Okay. We'll move on. The BC Juvenile Philly Turf, another tough race. You got 2-year-old fillies. It's a lot to ask of these horses to begin with, and a lot of them are traveling over here, so we got to decipher this different form from overseas. I actually like Stephanie's Kitten in here. I don't know if I'm going to use her singly on top, but I like to see that JR stuck with her over Stop Shopping Maria. But then again, maybe he already picked it to be on Stephanie's Kitten, and it just entered Stop Shopping Maria, so maybe didn't get a choice. Yeah. And I think with Stop Shopping Maria, they just don't want to hook up with my Miss Aurelia, so they just chose this spot to see if they can just get away with an easy lead and just cruise home. I like customer base too. I was a big fan of Band. I like Glen Hill Farm, Tom Proctor. La Peru is on fire of late. That horse just seems pretty versatile. Winning a sprint and then stretching right out and winning that race too. A lot of the horses that I like over these couple of days seem to have drawn outside, which makes it hard to handicap because you have to put that into it. I love Galileo as a sire up. He's only a maiden winner, but Aidan O'Brien thinks enough of him to put him on a plane and bring him over here. So those are horses I think I'll be using in here. I don't know who I'm going to use on stop. It's going to depend on how they look, but Stephanie's Kitten, customer base up, and Stop Shopping Maria.
Well, I myself, I'm going to go with another long shot. I usually am opposed to the favorites, so I always try to beat the chalk. So I'm going to go with the 2, Day at the Spa. This horse ran a really nice race at the Grade 3 Natalma, beat Stephanie's Kitten, who came back to win the Grade 1 race over at Keeneland. So I'm going to have the 2 on top. I believe, with Ramon coming back with Chad Brown, they're a nice combination. I believe they're 30% winners over the last 2 years together. It's a nice combo.
He could sit, just right off some kind of pace and get first at the leaders.
Definitely, and see if they catch me catch me if you can in this race. I like the 14 Somali Lemonade. I know it has a terrible post, but with its running style coming from behind, I don't know if the post position is really going to be that damaging. Hopefully, he'll be coming out from the clouds to get a piece of the pie. I can't ignore the 10 Elusive Kate. A great Group 1 winner in Europe at this distance. Yoshida from Japan just purchased this horse, and truly believe it's a special animal if she's coming over from Europe for this race. And the 6 Sweet Cat, who you said was Stop Shopping Maria's training partner.
Yep.
Can't be ignored as well. Ran a nice second to Somali Lemonade in the Grade 3 race over at Keeneland on the yielding. And I believe it's the best one of the Pletcher's 2 horses in this race.
Yeah, I said months ago that I was just going to use the Euros in all the turf horse races, but it's a lot to ask of these young fillies to come over, come all the way over here. And this is a strong field, I think, and it's going to play out well for some of these horses. But I don't see any of these Euro fillies winning this race, and they haven't done well in the past in this race. Right. So it's an interesting race. Bobby Flay went and he's trying to buy his way into every race. It seems like he just went out and bought this horse. Good luck to him. But we'll see what happens.
Definitely. So just to summarize, they at the Spa, Somali Lemonade, Elusive Kate, and Sweet Cat in my superfecta on the 6th.
It's strong. All right, we're going to move on to the 7th race now.
The 7th race,
BC Filly and Mare Sprint.
Filly and Mare Sprint. I think we both agree.
Yeah.
The 3-horse Turbulent Ascent is going to be the single in this race. Won the test in a super impressive fashion, beating the 12 Pomeroy's Pistol. Has also, beaten Her Smile. So right now coming on a hot streak, winning 3 out of the last 4 races. I truly believe she's unstoppable. And if there's going to be one horse to single out in your pick 6, whether it's Friday or Saturday, it's this 3-horse Turbulent Descent. Also like the 5, Musical Romance. I believe she's going to be, putting in a nice rally. This filly comes in from Calder, has run well in the Poly. But if you come back and look at her Calder form, she was second by a neck in the Grade 1 Princess Rooney. And, will definitely be a player in this race. Switch, the 6-horse, is a classy, Grade 1 placed horse. And the 10, Tamarin Hall, have a little love for Jeremiah Englehart coming out of Finger Lakes. I have a little impartial, having some horses over there. So have Tamarin Hall closing for 4th.
All right, well, I like you said, Turbulent Descent just seems like a standout in this race. She's a great, weird little filly. She's got a lot of speed, a lot of tactical speed, and she could just sit off some pace setters and just fly home. Yeah. I'm going to use her on top. I also like Great Hot, the Brazilian bred with Chantel Sunderland, and always fires with a shot. It's good to see. And then as a long shot, I'm going to guess that it maybe be 20 to 1 plus is Golden Mystery, the 9-horse. Just fires every time. It just seems like Farnsworth Stables could just come in at a price and screw everybody else up and help me out. But Turbulent just seems like a standout in this race. So I don't think we need to talk about it that much more.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I guess move on to race number 8. It's the Grey Goose Juvenile Fillies, a $2 million race. I know Dominic should be wearing his Team We Miss Frankie hat and T-shirt.
Definitely.
He's going over there to be part of the winner circle, the hopeful winner circle entourage. So I'll let you go attack this race.
There's tons of speed in this race, and on paper, if I had nothing to do with We Miss Frankie, which I actually don't, I'm just a big fan. But on paper, I gotta pick We Miss Frankie. She closes, wide every time, full of horse. And, Peter Ayrton and Bayerano are just killing it in the quarter, 41% win percentage. And, I love my Miss Aurelia. I think she's super talented. But, I don't know if the race sets up that well for her because there's a lot of speed in here. You got Kendrea in here from the West Coast. Grace Hall is probably going to be on there. And I just see We Miss Frankie getting a great trip, going wide again, but just having enough to just get past all these fillies.
I can't disagree with anything you've said. The only thing is, We Miss Frankie will probably be closing in a 14-horse field, and maybe she'll get caught up in a little bit of traffic. A horse that I'm looking for, other than my Miss Aurelia, who, you can't deny, she's 3 for 3. She's a Grade 1 winner. Has all the freak, labels attached to her. So you have to have her on top. But a horse that's a little bit of surprise on my end is the 4-horse Miss Netta. I really liked her when she broke her maiden over at the Spa. Then she came back to take on my Miss Aurelia in the Fri+Sat. Had a horrible start, spotted the field 17 lengths, and yet closed 6 lengths down the stretch to finish 3rd. I definitely have high hopes for this filly. That's the 4, Miss Netta, and the 5, Grace Hall. This is a filly that we saw her run in the Spinaway. It was an exciting race. She put away Judy the Beauty, and why not to win that one? So I have her in my exotics. So I have my Miss Aurelia.
Well, we're unbeaten horses in this race. Yeah. It's gonna be actually one of my favorite races to watch. 100%. Just regardless of We Miss Frankie, I'm just gonna be super excited. But it just came up to be one of the better races, I think, and it's just gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
Definitely. We have my Miss Aurelia, Miss Netta, We Miss Frankie, and Grace Hall in my superfecta box.
And I agree with you on those top selections, and maybe even Condrea. Bafford's always dangerous. Martin Garcia.
Sure.
All right, we're going to move on to this. What is this? The Euro-sponsored BC American Turf.
Yeah, the Emirates Airline Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf worth $2 million. Like Dom said, this is the European special. Whether they are coming directly from Europe or they've had a couple races in the States before running in Europe. I mean, this is a European race top to bottom. Everyone, their mother and their grandmother that knows anything about horse racing would say that Stacey is a single in this race. She's won 2 huge Grade 1s here with Chad Brown, and you can't really say anything to knock her form. Another horse I might also put in is Narain. Actually, I've picked Narain in this race in a little bit of an upset. She beat Announced, the 6-horse from Juddmonte, in a nose in a nice race at Longchamp, the Prix de l'Opera. It was a Group 1 race. I've been watching the Breeders' Cup since 1984, and since Frankie Dettori has hit, I've seen him do several Flying Cordero dismounts, so I know he's good for one good one. And this is where I'm going to pick the 5 on top, Narain.
And you think she's going to be a price? I think she's going to be short.
You think she's going to be shorter than Stacey?
No, I wouldn't go from there that far, but I think she should be maybe second or third choice. People know Frankie Dettori, and you got Darley Stud here, and I mean, the horse is just awesome. The fact that he nosed out Announced, which is kind of my selection in here, but the more I look at Narain, it's hard to knock her. I used. Who did I use in here? I used Stacey Alita, Announced, Narain, and the other Euro, Misty for me, which, I mean, you can't knock her either, really. She blew out Midday by 6.
Yep, she did.
And
her only 2 bad races were in 2 of the English classics for fillies. The 1,000 Guineas and the Epsom Oaks. Those are the only 2 races she threw a clunker in. But let me tell you,
Together, what you were saying earlier was, Together came back and ran 2 races a week apart, and won one, and came second in the other one.
Came second in one, and then came back to win.
Yeah.
So you got to tip your hat to that horse. That's definitely a horse for the exotic.
And in at 120 pounds too. I mean, it's easy to say that a Euro wins this race, but I mean, I say Euro wins this race. I mean.
Yeah. And now the Ladies Classic. It's the headlining race on Friday's card, the 10th race. It's the $2 million, the $2 million Ladies Classic. I think in this race, I'm going to single out on my pick 6 the 6-horse Royal Delta. Ran second to Harvey de Grace, who is the superstar filly taking on the boys tomorrow. She's a Grade 1 winner of the Alabama. She's beaten It's Tricky and Plum Pretty. So that's going to be my pick.
I hear she just looks great and is doing well out there. I mean,
this is one of Lascano's 2 rides on the entire Breeders' Cup card. He rides 2 uninsured in the Classic and Royal Delta in this one. I know he's going to come in and try to represent and get the W on one of those 2, and I think his best shot is with Royal Delta. Plum Pretty, she won the Kentucky Oaks, so this, I'm sure she likes the racetrack, so you can't, knock her. And It's Tricky. Was the hot horse when it won the Coaching Club, the Acorn, and not tailed off, but she's been beaten by Royal Delta and Plum Pretty. So you might have to keep her in the tries.
Well, I use kind of the same horses. There's a couple standouts in here, like It's Tricky, Plum Pretty, and Royal Delta, which I don't know who I'm going to put on top yet. I guess maybe depending on how they look that day, especially the 3-year-old fillies in this race. I don't know how they're going to react to the crowds and stuff like that. I like as a long shot, and I think it's maybe, again, 20-1 maybe, Mismatch with Garrett Gomez on the inside post. That horse has had some upsets before, most notably when she beat Switch. I'm just going to see how she looks that day and what kind of price she is, because I feel like maybe she could upset this bunch if the 3-year-olds don't do as well. But again, Plum Pretty's going to be real tough in here.
Yeah, I mean, Mismatch did take on the boys and closed for 4th, so you can't really, knock her for performance against the boys. Maybe she comes in and closes and takes over one of these fillies.
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't know, it's a tough race.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to the Saturday card now, huh?
That concludes our Friday card. Now on to the.
What do you think was your favorite race of the day there?
I'm going to go with the juvenile fillies. I think,
Okay.
between we Miss Frankie and my Miss Aurelia and Miss Netta, I think there's a lot of talented fillies. You said there was, what, four
Four
undefeated?
unbeaten, yeah.
Four unbeaten horses in that race. So I think it's going to be quite entertaining to see who the future of the female division is going to be in the next year or two for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. That race, the BC Juvenile Filly, and probably the BC Juvenile Turf for fillies,
Oh, yeah.
is going to be a great race.
For sure.
All right.
So now here comes our Saturday selections. This is a marathon's worth of selections, no pun intended. And to that, we're starting off with the third race, the Breeders' Cup Marathon. It's at 1 3/4 miles, so these horses are going to be running for days. And I think in this race, I'm going to go with the 11,
Oh, yeah.
AU Minor. This horse, was ridden by Calvin Burrell last year in the same race and had an incident with Javi Castellano in El Dafor, and they actually ended up fighting in the winner's circle enclosure.
I'll take Calvin.
Yeah, he's got that little aggressive eccentricness that might,
If his teeth are out, he's going to win.
Exactly. Well, just on form alone, this horse, won the 1.5 mile Greenwood Cup over at Parks Racing, so he'll appreciate the distance, and closed 9 lengths in the Jockey Club Gold Cup to Flat Out and Drosselmeyer. So definitely know he's going to like the distance. Burrell's back on. This is his home track. It's going to be a single for me with AU Minor.
Oh, wow. All right, well, I've actually, over the years, I never really played this race. It confuses the shit out of me in this race here. I like Giant Oak in here. He always tries. I like Cease, and I like El Doffer, the winner of last year's race. And I'm not really confident about any of those horses, but Giant Oak. I mean, he could upset it at a big price. I feel like, with they've he got Sean Bridgman up. He was up for a lot of the mounts, and anything can happen in this race. Post position really doesn't matter at all. And it's just these horses who can stay the longest, and I think that's what the Euros are doing in here. None of them are really that impressive. They just run really long races, and hopefully they think they can stay longer than these American horses, which sure. it could happen. But I'm not too confident on this race, and I'm not going to play it that much. So we're going to go to the BC Juvenile Turf.
The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, 2-year-old colts going 1 mile. I'm going to go with a little bit of a price. I believe I saw it was 15 or 30 to 1 on the morning line. Shakespeare Shalia. This is a horse that closed like a rocket to win the Pilgrim on the soft going at Belmont into some really slow fractions. Also closed from 13 lengths out of it to finish third to Daddy Knows Best in his maiden race at Saratoga. I've just been really impressed with this horse's closing ability. I just have a feeling that Shakespeare is going to Shakespeare Shalia will break through in this race. I also like the 7 horse from Europe, Casper Nechter. That's the right way to say it. Casper Nechter. I read that they've been pointing for this race all year long. He'll be stretching out an additional 1/4 mile. His form says he'll enjoy the added distance. Got to throw in the 9, son of Scat Daddy, who is the leading freshman sire right now. This horse riding a really nice race to finale in the Grade 3 Summer. Probably the only horse that rallied from far back, and Leparoux, jumps right back on him. And lastly, State of Play. The Warfront colt ran an amazing race to win the Grade 2 with anticipation, beating Dullin and Optimizer, who came back to run over at Keeneland in the what was it, that race over that these two ran. Dullin won.
I'm not sure. Oh, I remember that now. Yeah, I'm not too sure on the name of the race.
Yeah, the big race at Keeneland. So I like the 14 as well. And so those are my picks. You have Shakespeare Shalia on top with State of Play, Daddy Knows Best, and Casper Nexter rounding out my top 4.
Again, some of the horses I like, drawn on the outside. I'm partial to Scat Daddy, right? I have a filly by Scat Daddy in training right now, and even I just watched that race at Woodbine, and Daddy Knows Best was so far out of it and closed so well. I feel like you got to put him in there, and there is just a lack of pace in this race, I think. And so, maybe Finale gets out front and gets a good trip, and it's not compromised too much by the post. I like Finale. I like Coolport a little bit. It could improve. But my main horses were Finale and Animal Spirits and Daddy Knows Best. Animal Spirits for the Albert Stall Barn, and you like Clever Stables. That horse has done nothing wrong in its 2 starts. But I like to go with the experienced horses, especially in a race like this. A horse like Finale that's had quite a few starts and has proven himself as. I love when he came back at Escaper in that race. Escaper was on the rail, and it was just surprising to see him take another bid, and Finale kind of just turned him back.
And took off,
Yeah, and I think that Finale, has a good shot at winning this race, even in the outside post, because of the lack of pace in here.
Yeah.
Unless one of these Euros just tries to gun out, I don't know.
And just to clarify, the race that I was talking about was the Grade 1 Breeders' Feature.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
just further enhance the State of Play's reputation. He beat 2 horses that won it, and the other one that finished 3rd in a Grade 1 race over at Keeneland. So watch out for the 14 as well.
Yeah. I like to own that horse for $13K. Right?